All right. Hey, everyone. Thank you so very much for joining me. This is our third module. We're going to talk about the interview. And you know who to talk to in the newsroom. You know who to pitch to. You know how to make a pitch. You know how to sell them on your viewer value. Now you have the interview. You're ready to go. And what you want to do is talk to them, especially if you're talking about television, is how to make your interview visual. And to just give you a couple of examples, if you're sponsoring a nonprofit event and it involves getting a free t-shirt when you sign up, then you want to bring the t-shirt and say, hey, this is the t-shirt you guys are going to get if you sign up. If you've written a book and you want people, and you have an opportunity for people to maybe read a couple of chapters in the book, this is the book. Maybe they can get a shot of the cover of the book. And you can say, hey, if you go to my website, they can put your website up, and there you can read a couple of chapters in the book. So anything you can do to make it visual. And I'll tell you why the press release is always is also so important, because in that press release, you're going to have the dates, the times, the place of your event. And in that case, they can make what we call a full screen graphic. How helpful is that? To have that on the screen while you're talking. Hey, this is going to come up. The event is going to be Saturday. You're going to see Saturday, December the 25th, at such and such place. Hey, Ramona. So that's why it's so important that you send your press release in ahead of time so that they can prepare for that. You want to use your information in their way of getting it out to your advantage. You want to use the media to your advantage. And the best way to do that is to make your interview as visual as possible. Ramona, we're talking about the interview. Now that you guys have gone through the steps of who to talk to, how to pitch, and how to sell them on your viewer value, and you get that interview, you want to make it visual, especially if you're in TV. And I gave you a few examples of how to make it visual. That press release is so important because it has everything in it that they need. And if they can do what we call a full screen graphic, you are off and running. Okay. That is great. If you can get them to do a full screen graphic, and really it's not that big of a deal because they don't want to have just two talking heads there. They want to do something that's creative, that's out of the box. And Maya, in your case, if you said, hey, at the beginning of the year, we're going to have a new belly dancing class, and you bring in a couple of dancers to kind of show a couple of moves, perfect. Perfect. They love stuff like that because it's visual. And even when you do print, ask them, what can I bring that would make this interview a little bit more visual? And they'll pop off a couple of things off the top of their head, and that'll get you thinking, well, hey, this is what I have. Or instead of doing an interview in a coffee shop, why don't you go to a park? Or if you can reference something that, or in your case, Maya, I'll go and use you again. Say, what if you did it in your studio? What if you said, hey, come on down to the studio, let me give you a tour? Then they'll take a little tour and they will see different areas. They'll say, ooh, that's good. That's a good visual. That's a good visual. Many years ago, I had an interview in the Birmingham News. Anyway, a friend of mine wanted to do an interview with me about how I decorated my townhouse. And so I was like, great. And so I'm thinking, just come to the news station. She says, no, we want to come to the house. And y'all, when I saw the end result, I was just blown away. She had taken little things in the house. It wasn't like she just got this huge shot of my house or room. She took like a pillow. She took like a picture of some of the glasses, and it just made it feel so comfortable, so homey. So those are the things you need to be thinking about when you do your interviews. Ask them right off the bat, what can I do to make this interview visual? Just to give you a few ideas. And I also included some ways to what I said, slay your interview. As you can tell, I was trying to be cool. And the big thing is be on time. Be on time. don't rush. You want to get there and you want to relax. You want to go over your talking points. If you need to go to the bathroom, lock the door, and just you and the person in the mirror just talk a little bit, do that. Go over your talking points. Break out your index cards. Just kind of familiarize yourself with what you want to talk about. Who, what, why, and how. 9 times out of 10, they're going to start off by saying, welcome to the show. Tell me about your event. That's what they're going to say. Tell me about your event. It would be wonderful if you could get someone who read your book. But 9 times out of 10, they're just going to scan the back of it and they're going to say, tell me about your book. And when they say that, it is off to the races, because you can talk about your book, I'm sure, for hours on end. This is your baby. This is your project. But you want to be short and concise. Think about that. They're going to say, tell me about your book. So what inspired you to do this? Be ready to talk about what inspired you to do this and why you think this is important. What do you hope to gain from this? How can we learn more information? Glad you asked. And you can almost involve them too. If you know something about them. Hey, I know that you're a busy mom too. And I know you have 2 kids and you are running around doing things like that. Relate to the person you're talking to. Pretend when I was early on in my career, when we were learning how to be anchors, when they would send us to anchor school, they would say, pretend like you're talking to your best friend or your mom. You're at the kitchen table having a conversation with your mom about today's news. So you want it to be very relaxed and just a conversation. When they say, tell me about your book, then you go into, well, I started writing this book, da, 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 da. And you don't want to really answer any question with the yes or no. Don't do that at all. So I was waiting on Beverly. She said she was going to join us. If they say something like, do you like to cook? Well, you don't want to say, yes, I like to cook, or yes. What you like to say something like is, I've been cooking since I was a child. My mom had me in the kitchen when I was 10 years old. Talk. Turn those yes or no questions into information you want the audience to know about you. Okay? Let's see what else. Oh, the other thing is dress professional. I'm sure I don't have to tell you guys about that. Try to stay away from stripes and polka dots and all of that. But if your favorite dress has stripes and polka dots, break it up with a jacket. That's the best thing that you can do. I think we lost Anthony. Did we lose Anthony? Oh, yes, I am recording, Ramona. Okay. Yes, I am. I did forget, though. I think we lost Anthony. For men, I would go with, a suit and tie, unless they say something like, unless you have a company that has a logo, you have T-shirts that you have your employees to wear that, because that's even more publicity for you. It has your name on it. It has your logo on it. It has all that on it. So I would wear that. I would forego dressing up. If you have a T-shirt or a polo with your logo on it, I'd go for that. And don't wear distracting jewelry, because the idea is for people to watch you. They're there to watch you. You want them to admire what you have on. You want to look nice. But you don't want them to say, man, I love that necklace she's wearing today. I wonder where she got that necklace. They won't hear a thing you said. They won't hear anything. And that's why you see a lot of anchors, and I admire these people. They wear hardly any jewelry, hardly any. They may wear, something like pearl earrings or no necklace, because the idea is not for them to be impressed by your outfit, but you want them to focus on what you are saying. Keep your answers short. There is this thing about speaking in sound bites, and we'll go over that in your one-on-one, how to speak in sound bites. Tasha, I'm going to talk to you about that, because I've watched some of her Facebook Lives, and she goes on and on. She's got great information. I want to teach you how to talk in sound bites, girl. Great information, because you're going to lose your audience if you just can't get to the point. Get to the point. Keep it brief but informational. Don't ramble. And you're not going to ramble because you know what you're talking about. This is your business, and who knows your business better than you? Don't make your interviewer or your host do all the work. That is, again, why your press release is so important. You want to make sure that that press release has everything on it that the host or your interviewer will need. You don't want them to have to do a Google search about anything. When they're rushing and they say, hey, all I have is blah, 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 blah. No, you don't want them to have to Google anything. You want them to be able to say, okay, she's provided me a very thorough press release. Everything I need is right here. That's what you want. Okay, Tasha said, my computer froze. What was the color you mentioned for women or clothes? Just keep it basic. Just keep it basic. I don't suggest you wear stripes and polka dots and, you know, a whole bunch of florals and things like that. I know that's in right now, but the reason I say that is because you don't want to look too busy. You don't want to, if you're talking about fashion, sure, wear that. But if you're talking about something serious and you want them to take you seriously, I'd say stick to basic colors, solid colors. You can wear red, you can wear blues, you can wear your greens, but I would stick to solid colors because you want people to focus on you and what you're saying. So if it's the holidays and you wear a Christmas sweater and you're doing a cooking segment, that's fine because that's festive and that's what you want to do. But if you are doing an interview, I just say keep it basic. Keep it basic. You don't want to be too cumbersome. You don't want your earrings shaking because people are going to pay attention to that. You want them to focus on you. Ramona says, black or blue dress, wear solid basic colors, or dress based on your topic. Exactly. Exactly. And the last one I had, the last of my 7, is to practice, practice, practice. Just practice what you want to say. Go over the who, what, where, when, and how. What is this? Why am I going on this interview? What do I want my audience to know about my product? How can I help them? What is this going to mean to you? How can I solve a problem for someone? I'm going to solve this problem by telling them to do this, to relax, or how to relax, or whatever the problem that you're solving. You just want to be able to answer their questions in a concise manner and keep it tight. Have fun with it. Don't be stiff. Smile, have fun. But remember that you are there to promote your book, and they have given you a platform. Most public affairs shows will have you on from anywhere 2 to 5 minutes. And I'm telling you guys, that's a lot of time. That's a lot of time. When they tell us at the end of the show, you have 2 minutes, I clutch my pearls because that is a long time. That's a long time. Do you guys have any questions right now? Ramona wanted to know, do you ever get a list of questions? In this case, I think it's okay to ask. Can you give me an idea of what you're going to ask? A lot of times they're not going to know because they're going to be interviewing a lot of people. That's why they're going to ask you, they'll probably look and say, well, we're just going to ask you about your product. How did you come up with the idea? And they'll say basic questions like that. Okay. Because when you have a lot of public affairs shows, and I know in our case, we interview a lot of people in that hour. We may interview 6 or 7 people in that hour. And I know there's no way they have read a book or they've read up on your product. So what they're doing is basically just kind of scanning over. So that's when you can take the wheel and go for it. So when they say, what is your product about? Tell me about your product is probably how they're going to phrase it. Then you just take off. I've been working on this for 2 years, and finally, I'm so excited to be here to share this with you today. We've been working on this for 2 years, and finally, we have it to present to the public. Just go with it. Just go with it. Did you have another question? Yeah, it's appropriate. It's fine. I think in interviews like this, it's fine. If I were interviewing a politician, no, I wouldn't tell them what questions I'm going to ask. No. But, in this case, this is business, and you want to make sure that your host has everything they need to know about your product. And you want to make sure that it's a good interview. And they want to make sure that their audience gets good information. So, yeah, they want to have a dialogue beforehand. So that's fine. That's fine. Okay, let's see what else I wanted to go over. Getting asked back. This is what I think is key about getting asked back. It's simply to say thank you. It's simply to follow up and say thank you. After you had your event, after it was a success, if you had 2 people show up, that's probably more than you would have had. Then you just call them up or just send an email or a little note and say, hey, thank you. I was on your show on such and such date, and I really appreciate you taking the time out to interview me. It's that simple. After you leave, just send them a little thank you note. And after your event is over, if it was a huge success and you credit the TV station, the radio station, or the newspaper to your success, let them know. You guys had a huge impact on the turnout today. We were able to hand out 100 meals, when on any given day, we usually hand out 50. Thank you for allowing us to do this. By the way, we will have another food giveaway in January. I would love to talk to you about it then. See, you kind of set yourself up to come back and talk to them more about another event. Tasha says, in what case would you do a post-event press release? I would wait until after the event, until you can kind of get a sense of what happened. Was it a positive experience? Just a couple of days after, and even invite them to cover it if you feel like it's an event that you'd like for them to cover. Depending on how big it is or what the event is, you may get some media. They may come out and cover it. So you just continue to build this relationship so that you can get more media coverage. If you come on the show and you have a book signing and it goes well, then at the end of the interview, you hand the host or the assignment editor or the person that you've been in contact with and say, hey, this event is going to be next Saturday. Thank you guys again for giving me coverage. If you would I would love to have you come out and cover it. I would love to have you. Here's another press release, or I'll send you the details, or you have the press release. Let me know what else I can do. Say, for instance, they come out and cover it. And if it's big enough, if the photographer comes, if a reporter comes, you make sure that you make contact with them. Hey, thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate it. This is huge for me. Okay? When do you think this is going to be on? Then you go home. You call the station because the photographer doesn't know. He's just there shooting. He has no idea. But you go home, you call, and before the 5 o'clock, hey, you guys came out and covered so-and-so. Do you think that's going to be on tonight? Or what time will it be on? And if you get somebody really nice, they'll look on the rundown. They'll say, hey, we're going to run that at 6 o'clock. Oh, great. Thank you so much. Set your DVR or record it. And then here's another good tip. Ask them if they don't come out, will it be on their website? That's even better. That's even better because you can copy and paste and put it on your Facebook page. You can put it on Instagram. You can just do a whole lot more with that site on your social media. So just think how much you've gotten out of that one interview. You just got to continue to think of ways to promote yourself. Anybody have any questions? Anybody? Um, somebody, okay, Ramona, let me get you to speak up. For some reason, I can't hear you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
I think it's my computer. Yeah, it's.
Can you hear me now?
I got you. Okay.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see, what did I do? Okay. Oh. Okay.
Okay. The question is, should we be more planful in thinking about events that we're going to have coming up? Should we have like this already scheduled out? So when we get that interview on TV, we already have a list of things that we're planning to do so that they can know about it up front? Or do we just call back and plan something after we know that that goes well?
You can do either or. You can do either or. I would concentrate on the here and now. And when that's over, I'd follow up with a phone call, or, before you leave the studio, before you leave them, say, hey, I've got a press release on something else that's happening. But you just want to follow up on that. I wouldn't want to have any disruption in what I'm doing here.
Okay.
I want to make sure I got as much publicity out of this one event. And towards the end of this event, I'd send another press release or make that call again and say, hey, you guys were just super great to me last week when I came. I really enjoyed the interview. You did such a great job. I want to tell you about another event I'm having.
Okay.
And then you talk to the same person. You just build that relationship. How many days advance notice should we send press release for an event? I would like to get it at least 2 weeks ahead at the latest. If you're doing a TV, if you're requesting TV coverage, maybe three, because once you send it, you want to call back a couple of days to make sure they got it. And once you call back to make sure they got it, then you want to call it, if they haven't called you or you haven't heard from them. Hey, I sent you guys a press release last week. You and I talked, because I want you to make contact. I don't want you to send a blind press release. I always want you to make a phone call beforehand, just to make sure it got in the right hands. You know who to send it to. And then when you make that call, say, hey, Bobby, I talked to you last week about an event, and I sent you a press release. Wanted to make sure you guys got it. Yeah, we got it. Okay, great. Is there any way, what can I do to see if I can get an interview? So-and-so will be handling that. She should be calling you. Call so-and-so. You know her name. Call so-and-so. Hey, so-and-so, I sent Bobby a press release about a week ago, and he suggested that I call you, or he said that you would be handling the scheduling for that. Oh, okay. We got it. And let's see if we can set you up for this date. And I'm talking strictly right now about public affairs shows. When you start getting into news, that's a little tricky, because you have got to have a niche that they need at that moment. Okay. News is all about the here and now. So you've got to have that niche ready to go, because they could call you at a moment's notice and say, hey, we need an expert on relationships. Are you available to talk? Yeah. So, but when you're talking about an event, so to speak, I would do it at least 2 to 3 weeks out, and I would definitely continue to call back and follow up. In case of a holiday story, and that's what we're really aiming for, I would start like the week before Thanksgiving, or maybe even after Thanksgiving. That's a tricky time, because I'm going to tell you, that week leading up to Thanksgiving, everybody's mind is on what? Thanksgiving. They're trying to get out of there. So, but it's very slow those weeks. And even though it's slow for us, because a lot of people, school's out, a lot of offices close early, so it presents an opportunity for you to get seen. Because believe it or not, a lot of people are still watching TV. They're still getting up in the morning. They're still having, not as many, but they're still getting up in the morning. They're having their coffee. Mom and dad still got to go to work. So their routine hasn't changed much. So that week leading up would probably be perfect. There's that sweet spot probably between the week leading up to Thanksgiving and that week before Christmas and the week after Christmas. The week after Christmas, I think you talk about slow, we do anything for a story. So yeah, those are probably your sweet spots for holiday stories. And if you're going to be sending out a press release on some things, tailor it specifically to the holiday. I've been talking to Tasha about, 5 things to get you out of the holiday rut. And something else that I think gets a lot of attention is when you use numbers. When you can say, here are 7 tips to make you to jumpstart your health kit in 2017. People look for that. They like that. So think along those lines as well. Any other questions?
Valerie, I have another question
Uh-huh.
in regards to that. So during that sweet spot, sending out press releases, should we be aiming for a quota to say, I need to send out so many press releases, or does that matter?
It doesn't matter. You have a target in your head,
Mm-hmm.
how much press you want to get.
Mm-hmm.
So just, I wouldn't do a mass send out, because I've been talking to you about making sure you make contact with someone.
Mm-hmm.
I just think it's so important that you make contact with someone, because if nothing else, you can make them feel guilty for not giving you an interview. But, make sure you have a name.
Mm-hmm.
Call them up and say, hey, Bobby, this is Tasha. I talked to you last week. That goes a long way, because if you send out a press release and you sit at home twiddling your thumbs waiting for somebody to call, 9 times out of 10, the phone ain't gonna ring.
Yeah.
It's not gonna ring. So be proactive. You have 10 press releases, make 10 phone calls. Hey, Tiffany, you had a question? You're on mute. Unmute yourself, Tiffany.
Okay, so I've unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Mhm.
All right, so I had a couple of questions. So I contacted several different local media outlets, and some of them that I called, I asked for a producer's name, and they told me, oh, well, we don't give that information out over the phone. You just have to send to an email. And so I sent to that email, but now there's no other way for me to follow up except for through email. So for example, the Deborah Duncan Morning Show, which is here in Houston, I sent a couple of emails to 2 different places. One was like a general one for the actual news station, and then the other one was directly to her show, but I couldn't direct it towards a producer. So how would I follow up with something like that?
Is this a TV show?
Yes.
TV show? Who answered the phone?
The secretary, the person at the desk. Like, oh, we don't give that information out. You just have to email them.
Is this on ABC, NBC, or CBS?
Right. It's I don't remember which outlet it was. Let me look at my notes and see. It's KHOU, and I think that might be ABC, but I'm not sure.
And what time does this show air?
In the mornings at around 9 o'clock, I believe.
Okay.
Great Day Houston.
Great Day Houston. I would call that person back that you talked to on the phone. They've got to have somebody. I mean, unless she could be the one who is booking her own stuff.
Okay.
Become too overwhelmed.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that happening. But as far as is this like the number one show, or give me an idea?
Well, it's pretty well known. Deborah Duncan is actually the ex-wife of news anchor on TV News One, Roland Martin.
Yeah.
She's his ex-wife, so she has her own show here in Houston that airs daily. So she has a pretty large following on television. Yeah, so it's not just a rinky-dink show, if you will.
Okay. In that case, your press release has got to speak volumes.
Okay.
It's got to be on point.
Mm-hmm.
That's your only point of contact. It's got to be on point.
Okay. So using the template that you gave?
Yeah, using the template. But you know what? I have put together something, and I don't think you know about it, Tiffany, but I'm going to share my screen because I've read some of your press releases, and you guys are really doing a good job with your press releases. But in your case, this is why your press release has got to stand out. If that's your only way of getting in contact with someone is with your press release, you got to do a bang-up job. And so I created something I want to offer you guys. Share my screen. Yeah, I put together like a press release boot camp.
Okay.
And I'm just going to tell you about it, just basically. And this speaks to you because I said your press release is your calling card. Producers and assignment editors will often see it before they see you. So it's important that it's easy to read and it includes all the necessary information and context that will be helpful to viewers. Through this boot camp, you will gain clarity with your press release, and together we will sit down together one-on-one to turn just mediocre press releases filled with simple words, statements, and facts, and turn it into a story that is newsworthy. And here's what I wanted to do. I want to sit down with you, go over it from top to bottom. You send it to me, I go over it. Then we will learn how to write attention-grabbing headlines that relate to your audience. How to make your pitch in that first paragraph. They don't have to go any further. If they go further, it's simply to learn more about you. Storytelling tips that will help producers want more. You got to have a story. Your story is, I quit my job to do this. I quit my job to help other women learn that they can be better. How to write an evergreen press release. Tasha, you have a great evergreen press release, but since we want to talk about holiday stuff, you need to have a separate press release. You need to have a separate press release. Now, I'm offering this for $297, and I have friends who do this for a living, so I called them up and I said, hey, how much would you charge me to do a press release? They asked me a couple of questions about who's it for, what are you going to use it for, what's your audience, and they quoted me a price of $500. I said, you're crazy. I said, okay, I need to teach people how to pitch their products. I said, how much would you charge me to do that? They asked me a couple of questions, $2,500, no. So what I'm also offering as some bonus information is I want you to sit down and pitch your idea to me. I want to be the producer that you call up and you want to get an interview. So I'm calling it hot seat pitching so that you can have it down to a science, who you are and what you want to do. I want you to be able to tell me that in 2 minutes or less. I'll say 3. Because I want you to have good eye contact. When people my name is Valerie Lawson. I'm a television news anchor, award-winning journalist, and I'm a storyteller. When I'm not on TV, I try to help authors, small businesses, and nonprofit organizations magnify their message through the power of the media. to the point. That's what I do. How do I do that? I help you become a newsmaker. So every time, this is so important. I am so glad you told me that she doesn't have a producer. Maybe she has a producer. Maybe she has high turnover on a producer. There's a reason they're not allowing you to talk to the producer. I'm going to call the show. You know I'm calling the show.
Right.
I'm calling the show.
Great.
About this that I'm offering, this press release boot camp. If you sign up before next Wednesday, you won't have to schedule your meeting with me for the next 6 months. So you can take Thanksgiving, Christmas, the New Year to get settled in, because once Thanksgiving hits, you guys are probably not going to want to talk about it. But if that's fine. I mean, that's fine. That's fine. We can do it the next day. That's fine. But I want to give you 6 months to just continue to do what you do, and then we'll sit down and really craft a press release that can get their attention.
Okay.
So anyway, that's there. I'm going to put it on Facebook. I'm going to offer it to some other people. So that's there. That's there. That's a good reason why your press release has to be on Biggity Bomb. You can't put it on just plain typing paper, just plain white paper. You're going to have to come up with a way to get their attention. I'd still call that woman back because somebody is opening her mail.
Well, yeah, and it was done directly through their site. Like one was email and one was directly through the site. So there was no way for you to upload anything that was fancy. But I would like to know how to make it stand out if I'm emailing someone directly as well.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Yeah.
How long has she been on the air?
Years.
Okay.
It's been years. I don't even know how many years.
What kind of guests appear on his show? Does she usually have national guests? Like,
I wouldn't say that it's national. It's also some locals as well, because it's for Houston specifically. It's a Houston market base. So there are locals that end up appearing on her show. But I guess my vision is so large, I'm not even thinking of, after I tackle Houston, I'm thinking about like Steve Harvey show and all of these other places because of the way I want to position my message. Good. And so eventually I want to be national.
Okay.
International.
Very good. I'm going to reach out. I'm just going to figure out what's going on, because when you have a show that's probably been there for so long, they probably have a lot of filters that you have to go through to get to the talent.
Right.
And I'm saying, if this is a very, very big show, yeah, you're probably going to have to jump through a couple of hoops or have some kind of name recognition.
Right.
On a project before they even recognize you.
Right. And so my thoughts are that after I do this series of workshops over the next 3 months, they'll all be recorded. I have a professional photographer coming in. So I'll have social proof of the actual event, and then partner with someone for next year, along with that, like I was mentioning earlier, so that it'll be an established event. And so that next year it may not be as much of an issue to try to get in. But also when I try to do local radio stations, like the ones who do the public affairs sessions, they wanted my event to be free and open to the public in order for them to even consider having me on air. Otherwise, what I noticed is that some of those radio stations wanted me to just pay for the advertising and for them to do it themselves. And my complaint, well, not complaint, but my counter argument was, it's more effective when it comes from the person who is doing it. I guess but I understand that they want it to be polished and all of these other things, but I can speak my message better than anyone else can, but I know that they have professionals that clean it up and whatnot. And so I guess with me, it's the pitch piece and making it compelling enough to where they want to break the rules.
Well, listen, that's why when you pitch to them, you don't want to talk about money. You have to present something that's free. That's what I'm talking to Tasha about. That's why I'm helping her develop 5 tips that can help women get through the holidays. She has a book coming out, and this is perfect. We're talking about holidays. Women are always stressed and overworked. And that's something that's a good jumping off point for her. If she goes in and she talks to the producer, she gets the attention of the assignment editor, that's something that can get booked. And see, I want you to be able to not go in and talk about me, 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 me. You need to go in talking about how can I serve your view? How can I serve your listener? What can I, what small part of my my project can I release to them for free? You know, and I think partnering with another group is really going to help you, because if you're talking to battered and abused women and you partner with a shelter, then that gives, there's always more power when you have more numbers.
Right.
So I think you're thinking about it the right way. And I think once you start establishing yourself, getting those pictures, that social proof, then next year you will have a better shot at getting on a show that is very, very popular.
Right. But in the meantime, my book is going to be released at the beginning of January. What would you suggest for, as far as pre-sales are concerned? Because what I know about publishing on your own, self-publishing, is that in order to get on the Amazon bestseller list and whatnot, a lot of that depends on your pre-sale. But I wanted to get social media attention prior to the book actually being released to the public while it was still in pre-sale mode. Do you think that's something that is possible?
Yeah. Do you think that there's a way that you can allow them to read some of the book if you push them to your website or you push them on social media? Hey, excuse me, my book is coming out. Give them a little idea about what the book is about, and I'm going to pre-sale it. But if you'd like to read a couple of chapters or pages, I don't know how much you want them to read, just enough to really get them interested. And you can go to my website, or you can, click here to learn more.
Yes, I can do that. I can definitely have something like that set up.
Yeah, and I think once they can read a little bit about it and they're excited about it, and I think that'll push up your pre-sale.
Okay.
You have a question? Tasha, did you have a question? Okay. But yeah, Tiffany, I think you're on the right, you're moving in the right direction. You just got to stay on it. You come in with, little name recognition, but if you just keep at it, it's just that one interview that's going to make a big difference. Make a huge difference.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me get everybody else up. Did anybody else have any questions?
Valerie, I did have a question.
Okay.
In researching the radio stations here in Montgomery, I came across iHeartMedia. And there's like 3 different stations that every time I looked up their contact information, they all had the same person. Is that person the one that I would send, just change the call letters?
Who was that person?
Kimberly Brown.
I don't know Kim. So you're saying that she's the contact person for all of the stations?
When I put in the call letters to research, it's 3 different ones here in Montgomery, and the contact is all under iHeartMedia for the radio stations.
Okay. Call Kim.
And I did call her for one of them, and she said that everything goes through her.
Okay.
But then when I looked, would I just change the call letters for each one?
What you going to send her a press release?
Yes, when I get ready to send the press release, or is that me making the initial call to say, hey Kim, I'm how you taught us, and basically just saying I'm sending for each station?
When you talked to Kim,
I did today to find out who the contact person would be.
see, when you had her on the phone, you just keep pushing. Kim, hey, I'm interested in XYZ. Who do I need to send this information to? You need to send it to me. I'm interested in XYZ station. And
Right.
this is what I'm doing. Keep them on the phone. Keep them
Okay.
asking all the questions, because eventually she's going to remember who you are.
Okay. Okay.
Call her back and say, Kim, I talked to you yesterday, but I'm a little confused about something. Let me tell you what I'm doing.
Okay.
And she will take you. I think I do know Kim.
And I just sent her a Facebook request as well.
Okay, I think she used to work with us, and she will tell you who to talk to.
Okay, and then that leads to my next question. Okay, so I know we're working on the holiday story, which I know that's like that sweet spot that you talked about. So in the meantime, while I'm waiting for that sweet spot, should I be promoting the book itself, or should I wait to promote the book after the holidays?
If you get the interview, you promote it then.
Okay.
Talk to them. Say, I also want to let you know that I have a book coming out. Once you got them, go for it.
Okay.
Make sure you deliver on your promise first.
Okay.
Hey, Beverly.
Hello.
Hey, I'm sorry I gave you the runaround.
Oh, you didn't, because I got focused on something and I totally forgot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, well, I was feeling bad. I said, no, she said she was going to be here, and I don't have her information. But yeah, Tasha, once you get them on the phone, just go for it. Ask all the questions you can ask.
Okay.
They will, give you the runaround, or you won't be able to talk to the person that you really want to talk to. So if you can get somebody on the phone who can answer your questions, talk, because she will remember who you are, and she'll know that you're serious about trying to get on Tanya's show or some other public affairs show that they have.
Okay, and I just want to be clear. So like if I reached out and called her today, that what I'm saying to her is, hey, Kimberly, I've got my book coming out. And by the way, I've got a holiday story down the road.
Yeah, I've got a holiday story I think would be great for your listeners.
Okay.
I've got some holiday tips. And because you're talking about radio in that case, it would I've got some great holiday tips I'd love to share with your listeners.
Okay. Got it.
That approach. And then ask her about what public affairs shows do you guys have?
Okay.
And she'll tell you, and I'm sure she'll mention the show that Tanya does. And then ask her, how can I get in contact with her? Because I'd love to share this information with her as well.
Okay.
Just keep the conversation going. Okay. Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any questions? I can't figure out how.
So, Belle, how do we get on your calendar, on your schedule?
Oh, I am so glad you asked, because I have been up nights figuring this out. and I am so happy to share it with someone. It is bit.ly. I can't figure out. Oh, I know what it is. Stop sharing. There we go. It is bit.ly. Maker, SCHEDU.E. It is bit.ly newsmaker schedule. Bit.ly newsmaker schedule. I'm going to put that in the Facebook group as well, so you guys can click on that if you need that information. Anybody else got any questions? This is really to help you create a simple, strategic media plan. You just want something that you can build on in the future. And I wanted to also I'm going to put all this information in our Facebook group. I'm going to put this information in our Facebook group. Oh yeah, and next week, I know this is the last regular class, but next week we're going to talk to our CNN guest. Her name is Jennifer Thomas. She's an executive producer for CNN. She's also a professor at Howard University, and she's going to have a lot of information to share with you guys next week. And she's really looking. The link is broken.
Yeah, I think you missed a letter, Valerie. It's NEWSMAKERS. Yeah, so you need to add the M in there. Newsmaker schedule.
I will. Okay, I'm not sure if you can, but that's it. I will put it in I'm going to copy and paste it from my Bitly page, and then it should be hyperlinked that you can just go straight to it. But that's what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Newsmaker schedule, I think. All right. But anyway, this is really just to help you guys create a simple media plan, just to get you off to a running start. So you'll know who to contact in the newsroom, how to kind of craft your pitch when you contact them, how to write a press release. Most press releases, if you can't make contact with someone, it has got to be ready to go. I'm so glad you brought that up, Tiffany, because I've been thinking, okay, who would really benefit from this? But you made some good points. When they won't let you in the door to talk to the producer or talk to anybody, when you put that press release down, they've got to be, okay, call her back.
Yeah.
But then that's going to mean also, I like the way you're thinking to partner with someone else, because you'll have more power with numbers.
Right.
To help you create a press release, to know what to do once you get your interview. It's all about building relationships. It's all about building relationships. Once you build these relationships, you can probably go on any show. Because once you build that relationship here, you'll be able to say, hey, do you have any contacts at so-and-so? Sure, I think this would be great for you. It's all about building relationships. It's all about having content that these producers know, that the assignment editors know, that these feature or consumer reporters know, good content that they can get from you for their viewers. It's not about you. It's not about your business. It's about how you serve their viewers. On the back end, you can talk a little bit more about you, but they want to know off the bat, what can you do for me? How can you serve our viewers? What problem are you going to solve for my viewers? So that's the way I want you to start thinking. I want you to start thinking like producers. If we don't have any other questions, we will meet next Thursday at 11:30 with our special guest. And then you guys can go ahead and start getting on my calendar for your one-on-one. I want you to strongly think about the press release boot camp. This is a chance for us to continue to work together, to meet one-on-one, to sit down and write this press release that will get attention.
Hey, Val. When will you start the press release boot camp?
When you sign up, you have 6 months to schedule.
Gotcha.
Once you sign up, you get on the schedule and you say, want to talk about the boot camp. The comments. We still have our one-on-one, but just make sure you make a point of putting on the schedule boot camp. If you want to do it in January, if you want to do it in February, this gives you some time to just kind of relax, to soak all this in, and then we can move forward. So as soon as you schedule, we're ready to go. We're ready to go. And I'm going to keep it up until next Wednesday. Okay? Maya, you hadn't said anything.
I'm just sleepy. I didn't sleep last night that well. I'm listening today.
Well, hopefully, Tiffany, did you get your module stuff?
I refreshed it and I didn't see it, but I'll check again. I can check now while we're on
Okay,
just to
double
see.
check and make sure that you get it.
Okay, give me a second and I can check it.
So Val, we only had 3 modules, right?
Yep, just 3. You are officially a newsmaker. You have completed the course. And I really appreciate, like I said, I really appreciate you guys joining me for this course. I have learned so much about what not to do and what to do. I'm also going to ask that you guys give me feedback. I was going to come up with a form, but just give me some feedback. Just tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, what you would like to know more about. I'm working on the signature course now that this beta course is over. I'm going to start working on the signature course, and it's going to have a lot more stuff. You know, we'll probably go into a little bit more detail, and the only reason is because I'm learning so much from you guys on what I need to do. So this has been great. I hope it's been beneficial to you guys. I hope you've learned something, and this has just been great. I'm glad that the class was small. I wanted 10 people. I got 8, which is perfect because I can talk to you guys one-on-one. I can, direct message you. I can send you an email. The class wasn't too big. It wasn't too small. It was just right. I wanted 10, but I got 8 great people. Okay, Tiffany?
Yeah, so it's not loaded yet.
Okay.
I just checked. Yeah, but what I will say about the course is I do like this small group session also feels like you're still getting that one-on-one attention. So I think that keeping it small works, and maybe doing it every 6 weeks or every 5 weeks, maybe so that you can take a break and do whatever it is that you need to do, and just running the course like that. And then you can probably create a wait list for as your attendees start to grow.
Thank you. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to add that I would have liked to perhaps been more ready. So if there was something like a little worksheet, like some pre-work,
Okay.
before joining, because thinking about, so what is it? Do I really want to present? What's the best angle for it? And I know that may change, depending on the time. Just like now we're going into like Christmas. So we're like, okay, so what's a good Christmas story? But there's a lot of great times in the year, and probably you as a newsmaker would know better. But I guess we need to know that too, especially like with greeting cards, when are the best times, when are people sending things? So there are some holidays and dates around topics and things. So it would be, great if there was some kind of like pre-work to say, these are some angles, or these are some great times for messaging, and here's what you need to be thinking about, so that when we come in, we would be ready with, hey, I got this book, or hey, I got these cards, or either to be thinking about, well, what can I produce if I don't have anything tangible, or even to do that pre-work before to say, well, what's hot in my area, or what area am I trying to target? What's hot there, and what can I do to support the news watchers, so that as business owners, or as authors, or as people who are trying to produce things, that really helps us to really key in on the needs of the people. And if there's some way that we can help answer that question or meet that need, then we already come with our mindset. So then now when we get into your course, we can just hit the ground running.
Okay, very good. I like that. Those are 2 great suggestions. Anybody else? Those are great. I want you guys to just start thinking of stuff. I'll make a post in the Facebook page, and I would love your feedback. Now that you've taken the course, I'd love to hear how it benefited you, what you would have wanted more of, less of. Was the time good? Just whatever.
Okay.
I really, really appreciate it. This is some good stuff. I can work from this.
I think if I could offer one more thing or thought, when thinking about all of these markets that you're working with, because I think we're all in different states or different cities, to start generating a list of contacts, I guess, for the media, so that as your business continues to grow, you'll have some lists, and that is something that is actually sellable for you, for your company, if your attendees and your participants actually start to help you to gather that list, say, hey, these are the people that I've reached out to, these are the contacts, or something else that's tangible to say, here's a starting point for you if you are lifestyle. Here's a starting point for you if you are in this particular arena or that particular arena. I think that would help as well, just to get people in gear. Sometimes people don't know exactly where to start. So, and then research is also a skill as well. And some people don't know where to start with their research, or how do I appropriately look for something? What are some key search terms? What are some key words or jargon that I should be using in order to get what I need or what I want from this media experience?
Okay. In your, and I apologize for this not being in there, Tiffany. I think in this next module, that's kind of what we go over.
Oh, okay, great.
Creating a media list,
Mm-hmm.
kind of knowing the shows in your market that you should reach out to. And you can always go with the big four: NBC, CBS, ABC, and Fox. But please consider radio, consider your newspapers, consider those smaller papers. All right, Maya had to leave us. Those smaller newspapers. So that's really in your next module, the one that you will take a look at. But yeah, that's something you got to do. That's something you got to do. I was supposed to have a sheet in there that would have like the call letters, the contact person, but somehow it didn't get put in there. So I've got to go back and recreate that. But I'm telling you, the best thing for you to do is to get a notebook.
Yeah.
Little journals. And if you need to put tabs on pages that say TV, radio, magazine, podcast, or newspapers. So when you open it up, it'll show the call letters. It'll show the person you're supposed to contact, their phone number, their email address, and any social media links that you can get. So you grow, and as you get to know these people, you can just call them up and write a little note. Did interview on XYZ. So when you call them up, it kind of refreshes them. And you say, hey, remember I came on your show 3 months ago and we talked about XYZ. So yeah, that is key. That is paramount. And I apologize for not getting that in your packet. But yeah, that contact list is very, very key. Beverly, I asked you about Kenny Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar with his show?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Kenny Anderson and I are Instagram friends and Facebook friends, and we attend a networking here called Hot Coffee. He's not there all the time, but I understand from him he will be there next Friday. So, of course, I will be there next Friday.
There you go. See? That's a great platform right there, because he will be able to reach your target audience. And let me know what happens with that meeting with him. Make sure you have your press release ready to go.
Yeah.
You can slide it to him, get his contact information so you can follow up.
I got everything on him. I mean, I look like a stalker. I got everything.
Kenny's a good guy. Kenny's a very, very good guy. And for the life of me, I am still struggling to figure out what that other show is that was pretty big back in the day. But Kenny's show, I think, would be great for you.
Yeah.
Be a great training ground for you to get out there and kind of see what it's like. And then you can move up and do some of the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else got anything else they want to share with me on what they've learned or how I can benefit?
Valerie, I'll say I appreciated the smallness of the group because it felt like individual attention with all of us, and because I know all of us are in different veins, and it really helped to have that personal, this is what I feel like you should be working on. And then, as you moved on to each person, that was very beneficial.
Okay. I think what I'm hearing is keep it small.
Mm-hmm.
Keep it small. And I can do 10 people easily. I think once I start getting into larger groups for something like this, for a signature course, I don't think I want more than 10 people. I think I do fine by that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I will definitely, that will be one of the things I will do. I will keep it small. And I loved your suggestion, Ramona, about the pre-work. I will come up with some pre-work so that you'll be ready to go when you take the course. And I will create that contact list, or I will show you a better way to create the contact list, because I think mine was just going to be a sheet of paper to show you, where to put the name and stuff like that. But I'm telling you, get yourself a little notebook, section it off: TV, radio, newspaper. Write yourself little notes in the corner so that you'll know what you talked to that person about. Make sure you can call them by name.
Is there a better list maybe that we can get from the library, from a library database? If we go to our public library, can they pull a list of all the media?
They can. I actually have a book. They can do that. You can do it for all the stations in your market. But see, things change. So the only thing you can really count on are the TV stations and maybe your big radio stations, but things change. So that's why I want you guys to just keep an ear out for shows.
Okay.
And different things that are happening. I have a list of top 10 stations, or 100 and something stations in the country.
Okay.
Things just change so much. I would hate for you to call and Bob's no longer there. So that's why you have to do the work. You have to call and find out who to contact. And in the case they say that, well, we can't give you that information, you have to send it to us. You send it, you move on to the next.
Okay.
There is a way you can get media coverage. There is a way. I am going to thank you guys for reminding me to record. I recorded. If there are no other questions, even if you guys have any questions, just Facebook group, you can direct message me, and we will meet next Thursday with our CNN guest and hear what she has to say. So come ready with your questions for her.
I do have one more thing.
Uh-huh.
As far as public service announcements go, how can we just get those? Because I think they have to open up so much space for public service announcements.
They do.
So how do we get that space?
You're gonna have to just call them. Because see, back in the day, and some places still do this, they used to have like a community calendar, they would call it.
Okay.
And it would just list events that are happening in the community.
Okay.
Now they kind of push that stuff to their website. And by the way, even if you get a story on a website, that's still good coverage, and you can copy and paste that to your social media. So you just have to call and find out how they handle it. Because I know at our station we do a lot of that on our website.
Okay.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I'm watching cartoons in the middle of the day on a Wednesday, and I'm like, who's watching cartoons? Because they have to have so much time to public education, and it's in the way of my Judge Judy. Judge Judy, I am watching cartoons because they've got to go by the FCC rules. But you're right. Any other questions, comments? All right.
No.
I think we lost Anthony. Is Anthony still here with us? Yeah, I think we lost Anthony too. Okay. All right, well, I will post this in our Facebook group along with the information about the press release boot camp and the hot seat pitching. And also I will put in there the link to my calendar so that we can do our one-on-one. Right?
Perfect.
All right, y'all have a good day, and we'll talk next week. All right,
Thank you. Bye-bye.